What did you not understand as a kid, but you now understand as an adult? The value of all the shit I trashed or broke. That many adults are dumb as hell. My dad wasn't a workaholic, we just had bills to pay. Wait until you realize that work can also be an escape from the stresses of home life. Exactly this. You don't realize how much you need an excuse to just get out of the house without anyone questioning you. Work helps. You're not lying about it, and you don't have to be home. When my parents said no to something like having a sleepover and there was no good obvious reason, it's because they just didn't want to deal with all the bullshit. Sometimes parents just want to be left alone and have time to themselves without having to babysit the rest of the neighborhood. This one is a big one for me. I love my daughter's friends, but I don't want them around all weekend. There is always a sigh of relief when guests leave and you can relax in your own home. I'm just the opposite. I find once there's enough kids around they reach a critical mass where they take care of themselves. They just disappear and I can have some time to relax. No kid needing me. I love having them over. Same. Only have one, a 9-year-old girl, and if she doesn't have a friend over, or her friend isn't able to play Minecraft with her online, she's just following us around waiting for us court gestures to entertain her. That's why I have 2 kids. That way they can just fight with each other when they're bored. It's so relaxing. The quote, "The days get longer but the years get shorter." After having a child, that one's just hitting me in the gut now. I know, right? 2011 was just last year. I genuinely still start any discussion of the early 90s by thinking 10 years ago. I've actually started going a bit further on this one because I realized I was thinking of the 90s as 10 years ago. So I always mentally correct myself and remember that it's actually 20 years ago. Except I've realized that like 10 months of the 90s was 20 years ago and much of that decade was nearly 30 years ago. Shudder. Stop making me feel even older than I already did earlier in this thread. My brother was born in 2000 and is a legal adult with a beard. As a kid I used to think that if people worked harder more they were paid more. So for instance I would purposefully make a little mess at retail stores, movie theaters, restaurants, etc., since the more they cleaned up the more they got paid. Now I just feel like I was an asshole. So, funny story, when we did career reports in 3rd grade, the teacher went around asking us all what we want to be when we grew up, and my twin brother said gas station attendant. His reasoning was that he noticed whenever we went to the gas station my mom would give the attendant like $20, and what a great way to make a lot of money because people need gas for their cars. This was the 90s, when gas was cheap and you didn't have cards at the pump. Apparently my brother didn't realize the gas station attendant didn't get to keep the money. I guess what his real dream job was in actuality was oil executive. Mine by the way was to be the person who built Lego sets for the commercials, but was shot down as not actually a job. Which of course now is a job thanks to the proliferation of Lego stores and artists and whatnot. Thanks, Mrs. C. Why my parents wouldn't let me eat 3 fruit roll-ups per day. I remember being almost 4 and eating an entire box of blue fruit roll-ups. They were Garfield themed. Later that night, we had a babysitter who I didn't know well. I ended up needing to poop, and tried my best at wiping myself. No way I was going to call out for the babysitter. The paper was blue after my attempt at wiping myself. I didn't know what to do or even how to properly wipe. My toddler solution was to scotch tape a wad of TP to my ass. Imagine my parents trying to understand why there's a blue shit wad taped to their 3-year-old's ass. Edit, word. How grown-ups fall asleep after Sunday lunch, Christmas dinner, etc. It was so boring as a kid, but now I fully understand the value of afternoon naps in the sun after a roast dinner. And how, if they're parents, they're doing it because they trust all the other grown-ups and older kids to babysit their kids. Naps because you don't have to watch the kids, most excellent. That is so nice. Hey mom and dad, wanna see the grandkid? Sure. Now I'm going to borrow the guest bed and take a nap for a couple of hours. #X200B, edit, my top comment all time is about me taking a nap. Sounds about right. Now if y'all will excuse me, the time change has caught up with me and a very comfy bed calls. That life was short. Now I'm in my 60s and I am astonished of how short life really is. Ju is turning 25 and am going to pretend I didn't see this. Shit man, same here. I'm so happy that I can say that I am only 24. For a few more months. 35 here. What's more astounding is that you don't feel older. You're just, you, in a meat suit that gets tired more easily. I am struggling with the idea of falling into the silent grave that billions before me have, that in 50 years, my name will never be spoken again. There's some peace to it. There is a lot of not peace to it. But, just know what whomever you are, someone else has shared that same feeling, that getting older isn't bad, it's just what humans do. Same with dying. Just do your best. What's more astounding is that you don't feel older. You're just, you, in a meat suit that gets tired more easily. This is truth. I'm 48. Though let me ask you, when you think back to 30-year-old you, 20-year-old you, do you still feel as though they are you? I look back, 29, at my 19, past me and think that I am so very different to that person, in so many ways, and that I wouldn't have really liked that person very much. Wow, yeah, I know this will sound weird, but I am both the same and very different. The core of who I am has never really changed, but my beliefs, reactions, fears, etc. have all changed within me. I would not have seen or understood that at 29, but at nearly 50 it's much clearer in a weird way. Thank you for this question. I would never have thought to examine this otherwise. Edit, please know I am in no way disparaging your age by my referencing what I would or would not have understood at 29. I think you're incredibly wise to be asking such a question. Not sure if this has already been mentioned, but Helga Pataki from Hey Arnold. As a kid, I thought she was an ugly weird girl. As an adult, my mind was blown when I realized how neglected she was. Her mom was an alcoholic and her dad was a narcissist who favored Olga and made her the golden child. Most of the characters have pretty sad stories, honestly. That show was deep and I never realized it as a child. That episode where she sees the shrink is my favorite episode because it showed how neglected she was. It made me see her in a different light. Helga deserved better. When I hear the word shrink, I think of that scene in my mind. Every single time. I'll never get that scene out of my head, lol. That and Pigeon Man. Every time I see a bunch of pigeons. Not everyone is inclined to do the right thing. Some people are selfish jerks and it sucks, but you just have to accept it and do what you believe is right. There are a lot of awesome people out there too, and you can't get too cynical about the world because of the shitty people in it. True. My brother advised me this: 90% of the people out there are doing their best 90% of the time. It gives me a better view of the world. That's a good way to look at it. It took me some time, but I finally realized that the reason people doing terrible things sticks out to us so much is because they are aberrations that activate all sorts of survival-based instincts. Normal people don't get anywhere near the same attention from our brains. That as a teenager you think you have shit figured out, but you'll look back in 5 years and think about how stupid you were but were unable to see. Life is a constant cycle of realizing how dumb you were 5 years ago. Edit, well, this blew up. Thank you for the rewards. And your kind words. When I was 10 I asked my mom what a blowjob was and she told me it was just a term for a quick, easy job you do for someone. As a kid I just took that at face value, but as an adult I now understand she did a damn fine job of skirting around that one. Do your homework, son, don't worry dad, the teacher actually gave us a blowjob. I didn't know what virginity was and my dad would say I would understand when I got older. In the meantime, I thought it would make such a pretty name for a girl. My dad had no problem telling me. It's someone who's never had a kiss. Held hands. Getting your work done is more important than being naturally intelligent. However, not being likable will get you passed over no matter how hard you work. Edit, this has gotten popular so I'll add a few things. 1. If you're not tolerable to work with, you're not a good worker. The slight boost in productivity that your hard work provides cannot possibly make up for poor communication, resulting in inefficiency, group conflicts, resulting in poor performance and higher turnover, or lack of leadership skills, making you a bad choice for management positions. You will not be promoted if nobody want to work with you, effort be damned. 2. You don't need to go sucking your boss's dick to get a promotion. Act professional, be cordial, and try to be a decent person. You don't have to be friends with your boss or your coworkers, just don't go out of your way to make them dislike you. This one took me until my mid-20s to figure out, and holy hell did it make my life easier once it did. Also, no one tells you that unless you are one of those naturally charismatic people, that learning how to be likable is a soft skill that will take work, effort, and training. Thank God I had a good manager that knew how to help me. Conversely, some of those naturally charismatic people may turn out to be perfectly ordinary humans who, like you, just put in the work.